It's a beautiful morning. You know, this is the equivalent. Hold on. Let me fix the eyebrows. This is the equivalent of when Anakin marched into the Jedi Temple and not only killed his friends who were Jedi, but the younglings. He killed the kids. This is the equivalent of Microsoft looking around and saying, you know, nobody's buying the Xbox console right now. We've had the cheapest console at launch, the Xbox Series S, and we had the technically most powerful console ever on paper, the Xbox Series X, and nobody was buying them at the price points that we had them at. So in order to increase Game Pass subscriptions on console, I have an idea. Let's raise the prices by at least $100. Seems plausible. I think now people will look and say, Game Pass is an incredible value. Incredible. So, you know, last week I didn't want to pay $500 for an Xbox Series X or whatever, $300 and something for a Series S. But this week, now that the Series X is $600 and the Series S is close to $500, I think I'll do it. Because once I make that purchase, I could subscribe to Game Pass for $250 a year. Somebody help me understand this. Beyond, I get it, like the world is different and prices are different and there's political stuff going on, whatever. How in the world does a company that wants to win on hardware, right? Not software, because they said we want to win based on the capabilities of our hardware next generation, not necessarily games. We want people to choose the hardware because it does something different than the other person's hardware. Well, this is different. This is different. Raising prices by $100 is pretty different 5 years into a generation. So, I guess it's possible that a majority of people all around the world decide that, I never really used my television to play AAA games. I never really tried to buy a controller and then Bluetooth it to my television and then sign into an app and then subscribe to a service to stream a video game. But I think that the majority of people all around the world all of a sudden are going to wake up and say, because the Series X is $600 and the Series S is $500, I think I'm going to spend a couple $1,000s on a television that gives me access to an app that I have to subscribe to for $20 a month right now, and then Bluetooth a controller to it to play AAA video games streamed over the internet in the worst possible way. I think that is going to happen now, and Game Pass is going to thrive. That is what's being pushed by prominent Xbox. This is my job now, YouTubers. Now, I could be wrong. But when you got hair like this, it's very... I don't see it happening. I just don't see it happening. And then the next shoe to drop. Is that the expression, shoe to drop? What's the expression? Something drops. I don't know. Let's go with shoes. The next shoe to drop is an increase in Game Pass. Look. Explain to me how a console that nobody's buying at $500 and $350 to $400 with the Series S. Explain to me how a console that no one was buying at those price points is now all of a sudden going to push Game Pass subscribers, because Game Pass is a good value in the face of inflation. In order to increase the number of Game Pass subscribers on hardware, you have to sell the hardware, and you can't sell hardware that no one's buying by increasing the price of that hardware 5 years into the hardware's life cycle. Help me understand this. The only thing I could think of But I watch these prominent YouTube is my job now, Xbox channels. The only thing I can think of is they're thinking that now a majority of people are suddenly going to switch to phones, tablets, and televisions because the hardware is too expensive, which means there is no new hardware from Xbox. But I guess that's okay if your job is Xbox YouTube. How are the majority of people going to switch to something they didn't switch to now because you increase the price of hardware, when the hardware they have to switch to is already expensive? And pay for the controller, and pay for Game Pass, and pay for their internet service provider's outrageous fee to get a speed, wireless or wired speed, that makes the game even decent enough to play around with. I don't see it happening. I don't see Microsoft. I know people are jumping up and down saying they already greenlit new hardware. I cannot, for the life of me, see how anybody at Microsoft sits down after this and says, yeah, nobody's buying it, raise the price, nobody will buy it even more, let's spend more money to research and develop and manufacture and ship new hardware that no one wants. I don't see it happening. And I don't see people all of a sudden saying, you know what? Now that the Xbox Series X and S is even more expensive 5 years in, all of a sudden I had this epiphany that Game Pass is a great value. And I think I'm going to switch to my television. Oh, wait a minute, my television isn't really a smart TV, or I gotta get that Samsung TV, right? I'll go out and I'll spend a couple $1,000s on a Samsung TV, and then $20 a month, if it stays at that, which it won't, for Game Pass, and then the controller to Bluetooth it, and then I'll pay the internet service provider whatever they want to get speed so that I can download and stream games in the worst possible. I think I'll do that now. And I think that's going to save Game Pass. I think that's going to drive people to the subscription service. Help me understand it. I could be wrong, right? Could be wrong. Could be. Talk to me. Let me know what the hell I'm not seeing here. This is why I don't like YouTube, because people lie. As soon as you start making some coin, no matter how much it is, you start saying to yourself, yesterday I said this and I got 10 views. The day before I said this and I got 10,000 views. Guess what most people are going to do the next day? Say the thing that got them 10,000 views, because it's all fake. The reality is Microsoft and Xbox are in last place. The worst generation since the worst generation, Xbox One, and their solution to this is to raise the prices on their current gen hardware 5 years into its life cycle by at least $100, and all of their games $80, including digital. Remember when Nintendo had one $80 game and everybody went crazy? Crickets today. Where is everybody? Where are you guys? So, I mean, I just can't for the life of me understand this idea that somehow now Game Pass is going to be this de facto standard across the industry because of value. It's almost like Microsoft drug these people into the woods, telling them, we're taking you out there, we're going to kill you, and we're going to bury you. And you get all the way out there, and Microsoft's like, fuck, I forgot the shovel and the gun. And they're like, I got them in my backpack. I got a shovel in my backpack. I think I got a 22. Yeah, here you go. You'll never find. Let me get a sip of coffee from my official Nintendo mug. So, I could be wrong. Again, let me know in the comment section below what I'm missing here. I don't see Microsoft releasing a new console next generation. I don't. If they're smart, they would just get the hell out of hardware. Try and get Game Pass actually like Netflix on everything, including successful hardware in the console space, because that's what's hindering it, not what PC players are doing with Game Pass, not with grandmom with her tablet playing Candy Crush. It's Nintendo and Sony that Game Pass needs to be on, and it won't be there if they're selling Xbox hardware to nobody except the people that are consistently online telling you that now Game Pass is the value driver. I don't even want to get into it again. It's like Game Pass is valuable. Nobody's buying the console. Raise the price of console to increase Game Pass subscribers. Nobody's subscribing to Game Pass. There's like a box here. I don't know. So that's it. Let me know in the comment section below if I'm nuts. Let me know if you're a Game Pass subscriber, if you're staying a Game Pass subscriber. Let me know when you think Game Pass subscription fees will increase, because they absolutely will. And let me know what you think about a $600 Xbox Series X. This isn't even... And if you want to talk about, things going on in the world, before all this stuff was going on, they released a white Xbox Series X with no disk drive for $600. Help. I need somebody. Help. Not just anybody. Help. I need someone. Help.